Hello, everyone, and welcome back on a Leap Day 2012, February 29th, part 2 of our GNCC season preview with Johnny Gallagher. Johnny, good to have you again here today, and some good information so far. And I know there's lots more to talk about as the season gets set to kick off here. Next, let's talk about a couple of guys you mentioned there a few moments ago in segment number 1. Brian Cook, last year's number 8, this year's number 9, and understanding that he is facing the XC1 GNCC, but on a more limited schedule than what we've seen in years past.
Yeah, I spoke with Brian a good bit during the off season, and it seems obviously with his young family and also some changes within his program. You know, the past few years he had a ride with the FRE KTM team, and they helped him out a good bit, not only with the support, but also with the logistics of getting the bike to the races and preparing it. And it was definitely a good deal for Brian. He was happy, had a good working relationship with them, and it sounds like for this upcoming season, he's going to be doing something different. He's going to be back on Hondas with some of his old supporters from the pre-FRE days. And unfortunately, I guess, with those changes, he looked at it and, just felt it would be best for him to kind of get his legs under him and focus on the Mid-East Series, which is, obviously a series close for him there in North and South Carolina. And then he has said he is going to run select GNCCs. The number he had said to me a few weeks back was 5 to 6, depending on his schedule and availability. He did say he was going to try and come out, and start the season off, see how things went. And obviously, if he was having a really stellar beginning to the season, he was going to keep going. But I did just speak with somebody yesterday who said, I guess, apparently he's not planning on attending Florida. So I don't know if there's been a change in his plans or maybe a little bit of misinformation. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see when we get to Florida. I certainly hope he's there and would love to see him on the line. And he's a guy that's got a lot of ability and another one of those old school guys that works the full-time job and does this for his passion and does really well with it. And he's a hard worker and excellent rider.
Yeah, the good thing about it is hopefully if things do start to swing good for him once he does get rolling, maybe he'll stick around a little longer than what he intends to right now. And I've seen that happen for him in the past, and it seems like for some reason when Brian gets out in a program on his own, he somehow or another just seems to perform at an even higher level. And I'm not taking anything away from the support that he's had or anything of that nature, it just seems to work better for some guys, and I think maybe Brian might be one of those guys.
Yeah, Brian, he has a great support system there with his wife, Bonnie, and his dad and his mom. They're close to that family, and, he did very well for himself. I think the reason why he was looked at and ultimately rewarded with that factory FRE KTM deal was because of his stellar performance as a privateer the years prior, winning races and consistently finishing on or near the podium as a full privateer, not only wrenching himself, but paying his own bills and doing his own thing. And, I definitely, based on what we kind of said at the end of the previous segment, definitely don't want to put a tint on this at all, that things are negative. I mean, obviously it's a tough economy. I'm sure everybody out there knows that. But, the thing about racing is it's a passion-driven activity, and people are going to find a way as best they can, without cutting out the essentials. Obviously, food, water, house payment, those kind of things are necessary. But, people are finding ways to, cut corners in other aspects of their lives to be able to go racing. And I think it really does show a true passion for racing. And, it's going more back towards, I think, that family activity, at least at the highest level. Your XC1, XC2 classes, there was a number of years there where it was kind of looked at as if you could get to that level, it was kind of time to cash in. And I think now it's getting back to even the guys that are at that level. Certainly there's a number of guys making a good living for themselves, but it really is still driven by passion more so than looking to reap financial rewards or fame or anything like that. So I personally see it as a good thing, actually. And obviously I would love to see the big dollar sponsors come in. We'd be great to have Mountain Dew on board or somebody like that. But, it is good just to see the, back to the roots thing. Rodney, you've been around a long time, and I have as well. And there's definitely something to be said for the simplicity of competition, and I think that's what it's getting back to.
Exactly, and you're absolutely right. And as hard as it is, I think it's a tough pill for us to swallow. But in all honesty, I think these trying times are going to be what builds us and makes us stronger as an ATV racing community. I think we're going to grow from it in the end. And as we continue along here, Johnny, looking at this year's number 8, last year's number 5, Donnie Ackerman, again, we hear that there might be some limitations to his schedule this year as well.
Yeah, I spoke with Donnie recently. Heard different versions of exactly what his plans were, so I just went ahead and went straight to the horse and got it from his mouth. And he's actually going to be focusing on his young family. Had a daughter there right at the end of the season, and was married just during the break. Actually, he got married. So he's had a lot of changes in his life, and Donnie's another full-time construction worker, owns a construction company there in Indiana, and I think at this point he's just looking at it and seeing that his family and his business and everything else, and Donnie's a man of few words, but he put it pretty eloquently to me. Actually, he said he's met some of the greatest people that he has in his entire life through racing, and specifically through racing GNCCs. He said he's had the time of his life, but right now, definitely, Donnie might want to fight me for telling people this, but he said at this point he really can't bear to be away from his little girl, and I don't blame him. He said right now she's his, and obviously his wife as well. I don't want to get Donnie in trouble with the wife, but he said right now his family and specifically his wife and his little girl, they're just basically the light of his life, and can't imagine spending the amount of time away from the family, not only with the traveling, but obviously the training, the wrenching and everything that goes in with racing. So I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that Donnie's gone for good. He did say he's going to run some close ones as the series heads back north, and specifically Ohio, Indiana.
Johnny, next guy we talk about is last year's number 16, and probably one of the biggest movers and shakers as far as overall numbers was concerned from last year, Jared McClure. And, I've kind of deemed him as a sneaky snake. And what I mean by that, again, a term of endearment there when I say that. This guy is just kind of working his way quietly up through the ranks, and he is quickly becoming a competitor. I mean, a consistent competitor at that.
Yeah, Jared was 2011 GNCC Most Improved Rider for a reason. Obviously, he didn't have the season he was looking for in 2010. Earned himself number 16, which is still very respectable. Came out last year, right from the get-go swinging, running well, had some excellent finishes. Actually had a podium at the one round and was running in a podium position late in several races, and had some issues. And ultimately, I think Jared learned a lot last year, and seeing the fire in him and the drive. He's been down here a good bit this winter. The FTRs are actually staying. We kind of cohabitate and share a house at the times. So he's working hard, and I think he's actually got a little bit of confidence, which could be a dangerous thing for all of us, because I think Jared's maybe the one thing that was holding him back was I don't think he realized how good he was. So he's been riding a lot here lately, been training really hard, performing very well at the off-season races, and I think he's expecting big things for himself coming into Florida, and I think that's going to translate into big results on the track.
For sure. And then, of course, next, the guy we talk about is the number 341. He's actually number 6 as far as ranking in the 2012 season. And a lot of eyes are on this guy for whatever reasons, and it's Brian Wolf, the guy that we're talking about there. A lot of big things and good things have kind of happened for him in the offseason in what looked like some of the bleakest of times, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Brian's a polarizing character. He has a big personality, loud, boisterous. Both in his riding and in his personality off the track. So he makes big waves. Definitely very talked about, and he's definitely not afraid to say what he's on his mind, and in some cases, I think says things just for the sole factor of getting a rise out of people. So he's definitely got a lot of personality, but beyond that, certainly a pile of talent and determination. Paired up with some new people for this year, working with Tim Farah, multi-time champion within not GNCC, but within ATV racing in general, ATV motocross and TT championships, stadium championships, off-road championships and other aspects, the European championships. You know, Tim is certainly one of the most accomplished riders ever in our sport. And, you know, with a guy with the raw talent, determination, and brute strength of Brian Wolf, you know, coupled with somebody like Tim Farr, who over the years probably should have received the nickname the Surgeon because of his, you know, just flawless style and methodical approach to racing. And he and Mark Baldwin teamed together, and I believe Baldwin is a part of Wolf's program this year as well. So, you know, you've got a lot of years of experience, bike setup, tuning, you know, and actual racing with Tim, obviously, that Brian's going to have access to. So I expect to see good things out of him this year. You know, he's definitely going to come out swinging, and you know, I think he's kind of stated it himself. He feels he's working hard and he expects to do well. So I definitely think he put himself on a lot of people's radar. You know, with the changes he's made in the off season and the interviews he's done, I think he's definitely made some big statements, and I think he can back them up. So we'll see how it all pans out.
Then, of course, we look to the number 5 heading into 2012, and that is Walker Fowler. Walker coming out of a very historical Pro-Am championship there with a perfect season. You know, that is pretty impressive on a lot of different fronts. But regardless, you know, how well he did last year, even winning a couple of overalls, this year, things are totally different for this kid. He realizes it, and he's another kid that I think he's ready to step up to the plate. In talking to him earlier, he didn't seem like he was going to bite off more than he could chew. He seemed like he was going to be approaching this in a methodical way, so to speak.
Right, Rodney, you said some key statements there in regards to Walker, in my opinion. You said he knows what he's getting himself into, and you made a statement about him not biting off more than he can chew, and I think that's the one thing, well, a number of things actually that lead to, I think, Walker exceeding his own expectations for this year. Just because I think a lot of people, you know, any one of us can go on the internet and look at the forum keyboard jockeys, I guess I call them. You know, all nice guys that are certainly excited about our sport, but some of the claims they make, you know, in pumping certain riders up or knocking certain riders down, a lot of times riders buy into that, and they feel that, you know, if you know, someone on the internet or someone in the media says something bad about him, they start to believe it, or says something really good about him, they start to believe it. And Walker, with his support system between his mom and his dad, and obviously the crew over there at Balance Racing, I think they do a good job of keeping him grounded, and he does a good job of keeping himself grounded. Very realistic expectations. I think, you know, obviously Walker's capable of winning races. He proved that this year from the second row. So, you know, for him to come out and basically say, hey, I know that I'm coming into a whole different scenario for racing here, being on the front row. I know I don't have that time advantage anymore. These guys are going to be racing me and knowing they're racing me. And actually, for Walker to say, I know he said to me on several occasions, and I believe he's gone on record with you and several others as saying, I want to replicate my 2011 season. Not in terms of obviously 13 wins, you know, in the XC1 class, that'd be pretty unattainable. But I don't think anybody thought it could be done in the XC2 class either. Right. But basically, just his overall number and his overall finishes are what he's looking to do again this year. He wants to be, you know, a consistent top 5 guy. He wants to break through for his podiums. He wants to win a few races, and if he can do that, I think that sets him up for a long and fruitful career in the XC1 class. You know, obviously he's got a great relationship with with his teammate Taylor Kaiser, with Bill, and everything that Bill has done to help further his career. So he's got a bright future ahead of him, and I think he's definitely going to do a good job this year of keeping his head on square and taking his lumps, or as he put it, his initiation into that front row. And he's going to keep his head down, nose to the grindstone, work hard, and he will be up front on several occasions, running at or near the front of the pack.
Johnny, let's take a break right here and continue talking about Walker Fowler and the rest of our top 5 here in just a moment. That's Johnny Gallagher. I'm Rodney Tomblin. This is Quad Radio.